What ancient wisdom flows silently through your veins at this very moment? Have you ever wondered if those seemingly random letters and symbols on your medical records, A, B, O, positive, negative, might hold secrets far more profound than mere biological compatibility? What if I told you that the crimson river coursing through your body carries not just oxygen and nutrients, but the very blueprint of your soul's deepest patterns? Carl Jung, the revolutionary explorer of the human psyche, taught us that the most transformative truths often hide in the most ordinary places. He believed that our physical form is never separate from our spiritual essence, that every cell, every drop of blood, every heartbeat is a messenger from the unconscious, whispering ancient secrets about who we truly are beneath the masks we wear for the world. Imagine for a moment that your blood is not merely a biological fluid, but a liquid library containing the archetypal patterns that have shaped human consciousness for millennia. Picture your circulatory system as a sacred network, carrying not just the chemistry of life, but the symbolic language of your deepest self. What if every pulse through your arteries is a drumbeat calling you to remember something fundamental about your nature, your gifts, your shadow, and your destiny? Tonight, we embark on a journey where the scientific meets the sacred, where the laboratory findings converge with the wisdom of the collective unconscious. Your blood type is not just a medical classification, it's a key to understanding the archetypal forces that move through you, shape your relationships, influence your choices, and guide your path toward wholeness. Are you ready to decode the messages written in your very essence? Jung's revolutionary insight was that our outer reality mirrors our inner landscape. He understood that the body is not merely a vessel for consciousness, but consciousness itself made manifest in flesh and blood. Every physical characteristic, every biological marker carries symbolic weight in the grand theater of the psyche. Your blood, that vital force that has sustained life since the dawn of humanity, is perhaps the most potent symbol of all. Across every culture and throughout every age, blood has been revered as sacred. It is the essence that binds families across generations, the life force that warriors would shed to defend their tribes, the offering that priests would present to their gods. In ancient wisdom traditions, blood was understood as the carrier of ancestral memory, the fluid that connects us not just to our personal history, but to the entire human story. While Jung never explicitly wrote about blood types, his fascination with symbols and his deep understanding of archetypal patterns makes this exploration a natural extension of his work. In Japan, the concept of Ketsue Gata, the belief that blood types reveal fundamental aspects of personality, has woven itself into the cultural fabric, creating a bridge between scientific observation and mythological understanding that would have resonated deeply with Jung's worldview. E.T.'s ancient intuitions about blood are not mere superstition. They represent humanity's ongoing attempt to understand the invisible forces that shape our experience. Jung knew that symbols are the language through which the unconscious communicates with consciousness. They are bridges between the known and unknown, the visible and invisible, the personal and universal. Your blood type then becomes a symbol pregnant with archetypal meaning. Type A, with its careful, methodical nature, reflects the archetype of the sage, the seeker of wisdom who brings order from chaos. Type B, fluid and adaptable, embodies the explorer, the free spirit who dances between possibilities. Type AB, rare and complex, carries the diplomat's energy, the mediator who bridges opposing worlds. Type O, primal and direct, pulses with the warrior's fire, the hero who acts decisively when others hesitate. These are not mere personality categories. They are archetypal constellations that have been active in human consciousness since our species first gazed at the stars and wondered about their place in the cosmos. Jung taught us that these archetypes exist in the collective unconscious, that shared reservoir of symbols, myths, and instincts that unite all humanity. Each of us carries this collective inheritance, but how it manifests in our individual lives is deeply personal and utterly unique. The genius of Jung's approach was his understanding that knowing these patterns doesn't imprison us, it liberates us. When we become conscious of the archetypal forces moving through us, we transform from passive victims of our impulses into active participants in our own becoming. We stop fighting against our nature and start dancing with it, learning to channel its power in service of our highest potential. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most authentically yourself. Perhaps it was during a quiet evening of reflection, organizing your thoughts and finding clarity in the chaos of daily life. Maybe it was while exploring a new city, allowing curiosity to guide your steps down unfamiliar streets. It might have been in a heated discussion where you found yourself naturally mediating between opposing viewpoints, or in a crisis where you instinctively took charge and led others to safety. Jung would say these are moments when your archetypal energy is fully engaged, when you're in harmony with the symbolic forces that shape your inner world. Your blood type doesn't determine these moments, but it might reveal the natural current of your energy, the riverbed that channels the waters of your soul most effortlessly. This understanding becomes particularly powerful when we consider Jung's central concept of individuation, the lifelong journey toward becoming your most authentic self. Individuation is not about fitting into a predetermined mold, but about discovering and expressing your unique combination of universal patterns. When you explore the archetypal energies associated with your blood type, you're not reducing yourself to a category, you're expanding your awareness of the forces that have always been there, just beneath the surface of consciousness. The implications extend far beyond personal insight. These archetypal energies profoundly influence how we relate to others. Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to energize you instantly, while others drain your vitality despite your best efforts to connect? Jung would explain this as the dance of complementary and conflicting archetypal patterns, the natural harmony or tension that occurs when different symbolic energies interact. Blood type compatibility then becomes more than a curiosity for donors and recipients. It hints at deeper harmonies and conflicts that animate our relationships, our collaborations, and our community. When we understand the archetypal patterns we carry, we can navigate these relational dynamics with greater wisdom and compassion. In our modern Western worldview, we often create artificial divisions between biology and psychology, between science and soul. Jung, however, recognized them as different aspects of a unified reality. He believed that our physical traits are not random accidents of genetics, but meaningful expressions of deeper symbolic truths. Your blood type, in this view, becomes a living metaphor, a small detail of your biological form that echoes the larger archetypal story you're here to embody and explore. This doesn't mean your blood type determines your fate. Jung was emphatic that consciousness has the power to transcend and transform any pattern, no matter how deeply ingrained, but awareness of these patterns provides invaluable guidance for the journey of self-discovery. It's like having a map of the territory you're exploring. It doesn't dictate where you must go, but it helps you navigate more skillfully and purposefully. As we prepare to dive deeper into the specific archetypal patterns associated with each blood type, remember that this exploration is not about finding your label or your limitation. It's about discovering new dimensions of your complexity, new appreciation for your gifts, and new compassion for your challenges. It's about recognizing that you are both utterly unique and profoundly connected to the universal patterns that have shaped human experience since the beginning of time. The next time you see your blood type listed on a medical form, let it serve as a gentle reminder to pause and listen. What archetypal energies are stirring within you? What ancient patterns are seeking expression through your modern life? What wisdom is your blood whispering to your soul? The moment you understand that your blood carries more than biological information, everything changes. Each blood type becomes a doorway into a specific archetypal realm, a unique way of experiencing and expressing the fundamental patterns of human consciousness that Jung spent his lifetime exploring. Let us begin with type A, which flows through approximately 40% of humanity. If this is your blood type, you likely embody what Jung would recognize as the sage archetype, the careful guardian of wisdom and order. There's something deeply satisfying to you about bringing structure to chaos, about finding the perfect system that makes sense of complexity. This isn't mere tidiness or obsessive organization, though you probably excel at both. It's something much more profound, a soul-deep need to create meaning and stability in an unpredictable world. You might notice this pattern in the smallest details of your life, the way you instinctively straighten a crooked picture, the care you take in crafting the perfect email, the thorough research you conduct before making any significant decision. Where others see overwhelming complexity, you perceive patterns waiting to be discovered and organized. This is your archetypal gift, the ability to transform raw experience into refined wisdom. In relationships, this manifests as extraordinary loyalty and dependability. Once you've committed to someone, you're there through every storm and celebration. You understand that meaningful connections, like everything else worth having, require careful tending and consistent attention. Your friends and partners know they can count on you not just for emotional support, but for practical wisdom and thoughtful guidance. Yet Jung taught us that every archetypal strength casts a shadow, and for type A individuals, this shadow often appears as anxiety or perfectionism. The same careful attention that creates beauty and order can become a prison of impossible standards. You might find yourself exhausted by the constant pressure to get everything just right, to anticipate every possible problem, to be the rock that never cracks or crumbles. Jung would remind you that acknowledging this shadow is not about abandoning your standards, but about extending to yourself the same patience and compassion you naturally offer others. Your journey toward wholeness involves learning when to let the crooked picture stay crooked, when to trust that your inner systems are strong enough to handle a little chaos. Now consider type B blood, flowing through roughly 11% of the global population. If you carry this pattern, you likely embody the explorer archetype, the eternal wanderer in search of new horizons and fresh possibilities. There's something in you that rebels against rigid routines and predetermined paths. You feel most alive when you're discovering something unexpected, whether it's a hidden cafe in your neighborhood or a revolutionary idea that changes how you see the world. Your natural authenticity and directness can be both refreshing and challenging for others. You have little patience for games or pretense. You want the real story, and you're willing to share yours. This honest transparency often makes you a magnet for people seeking genuine connection, but it can also ruffle feathers in environments that prefer polite superficiality. Professionally, you thrive in roles that reward creativity and adaptability. You're the person who sees solutions others miss, who can pivot gracefully when circumstances change, who brings fresh energy to stagnant situations. Jung would recognize in you the transcendent function, that rare ability to synthesize opposing ideas into something entirely new and valuable. The shadow side of the explorer archetype often manifests as restlessness or difficulty with commitment. Your love of freedom and new experiences can make it challenging to stay with projects, relationships, or decisions once they begin to feel confining. Jung would suggest that your growth path involves learning to distinguish between healthy exploration and restless avoidance, finding ways to commit fully while still honoring your need for growth and change. Type AB blood, flowing through only 4% of humanity, carries perhaps the most complex archetypal pattern. If this is your type, you embody the diplomat archetype, the rare individual capable of holding opposing forces in creative tension. Biologically, you carry both A and B antigens, and symbolically, this duality reflects Jung's concept of the union of opposites that he saw as essential for psychological wholeness. You likely have an extraordinary ability to see multiple perspectives simultaneously without immediately feeling compelled to choose sides. This isn't indecision, it's a sophisticated form of psychological flexibility that allows you to navigate complexity with remarkable grace. You can often find common ground where others see only irreconcilable differences, making you a natural mediator and bridge builder. Your adaptability in different social contexts would have fascinated Jung. While some people present a consistent face to the world, regardless of circumstances, you might find yourself subtly adjusting your approach based on what each situation requires. This isn't inauthenticity. It's an intuitive awareness of the deeper harmonies and tensions that influence human interaction. The shadow of the diplomat archetype often appears as a feeling of being lost in too many perspectives. Your ability to see all sides can sometimes make it difficult to know where you stand, to identify your own authentic position amidst the swirling viewpoints you can so easily understand. Jung would remind you that your journey involves learning to honor your complexity while also developing a clear sense of your own core values and boundaries. Finally, we come to type O blood, the most ancient and common pattern, flowing through 45% of humanity. If this is your type, you likely embody the warrior archetype, the primal force that meets challenges head-on and inspires others to action. There's something in you that naturally steps forward when others step back, that finds clarity in situations that paralyze those around you. Your decision-making process is often remarkably direct. You can assess situations quickly and act decisively because you trust your instincts in a way that others sometimes envy. This isn't recklessness, it's a fundamental confidence in your ability to handle whatever consequences arise from your choices. You understand that action itself often provides the clarity that endless analysis never will. In relationships, you bring a refreshing straightforwardness that can be both challenging and deeply reassuring. You're unlikely to sugarcoat difficult truths or hide behind diplomatic language when honest communication is needed. This transparency builds trust, even when your directness initially creates discomfort. The shadow of the warrior archetype often manifests as impatience or an aggressive edge that emerges when you feel blocked or constrained. Your natural, action-oriented energy can become destructive if not channeled consciously. Jung would suggest that your growth path involves learning to balance your decisive nature with patience and reflection, becoming someone who can act powerfully from a place of grounded wisdom rather than reactive impulse. Woven through all these patterns is the subtle influence of the Rai factor, positive or negative, which adds another layer of archetypal meaning to your psychological makeup. HA-positive individuals often embody a natural connection to the collective, finding purpose and energy in community and shared endeavors. AH-negative individuals may carry more of the outsider archetype, feeling a subtle distance from the group that allows them to see things from unique perspectives. Yet Jung would remind us that none of these patterns are destinies carved in stone. They are invitations to greater self-awareness, tools for understanding the natural currents of our energy so we can navigate them more skillfully. Your blood type whispers suggestions about your archetypal nature, but your conscious choices and your willingness to grow beyond any limiting pattern are what truly shape your life. The goal is not to become the perfect expression of your blood type archetype, but to become the most integrated version of yourself. This means honoring your natural patterns while also developing the capacity to access other archetypal energies when life requires them. The Type A individual learning to embrace spontaneity, the Type B explorer discovering the joy of commitment, the Type AB diplomat finding their own clear voice, the Type O warrior developing patience and subtlety. These are the journeys of individuation that Jung saw as the highest human calling. In the end, your blood type is not a cage, but a compass. It points towards certain archetypal territories that might feel most natural for you to explore, but it never limits where you can ultimately travel. The real magic happens when you use this understanding as a starting point for conscious growth, as a foundation for building the rich, complex, authentic life that is your birthright and your responsibility. What matters most is not the type you were given, but the meaning you choose to create from it. Your blood carries ancient wisdom, but your consciousness carries the power to transform that wisdom into whatever form serves your highest good. and the good of all those whose lives you touch. This is the true promise of understanding your archetypal nature, not limitation, but liberation into the fullness of who you are meant to become.